Hey everyone, Thomas here from Thunderbolt Film. This week, I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks for visual effects. One of the things that I love about visual effects is the challenge of having to figure things out. The need to have many tricks up your sleeve to get the right effect for the right shot. And that's what I'm going to do here. On the screen, I'm going to show you some shots that I had to really edit to remove unwanted things in the background for a shoot that you might recognize. It's actually for Dark Force Episode 3 Revisited, but I will talk about that in the next video. And by the way, I'm going to wear the same shirt because I'm recording these all at once. Okay, so now we're here on the webcam. We're going to do like a little switch cam and everything. So I've got this After Effects project loaded up for Episode 3 Revisited. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through and tell you what the edits I've made and all the kind of stuff. So basically the gist is, what I want to really talk about is the visual effects and more specifically the removal of background shots. So yeah, just changing background shots, and I'll get to this more interestingly in fact. First start out simple with this shot. So if you look here where I have it masked, you'll see that there is a stop sign there. We'll bring that up. So now with this kind of stuff, there's nothing we can really do about that on scene. I've masked around the sign, gone over here and dragged the background around until it's just perfect, or just about right. So it may take a little bit of tweaking. So make sure you copy the foreground or have some kind of foreground element like this hill, because that will also help hide the sort of imperfections. So let's move on to another shot. As you can see, Jack wasn't here when we reshot this stuff. He unfortunately wasn't able to make it, but so this is actually just a cutout of him from the original footage and then just kind of pasted there. So yeah, not too hard, pretty self-explanatory cutout, and there's a little bit of a background on him. So I actually just moved that. So there's a little bit of background on him, or a little bit of grass in front of him as a foreground to, really blend him in there, so it makes him look like he's there. So might work to actually add a contact shadow on it, because it might not actually look 100%. So, but again, this isn't too bad. So like I said, these effects are still a work in progress. So right here, I just turned off these layers. If you look closely, there are two things. There is our light, or actually no, that's our monitor on a stand, my camera bag, and there's a little piece of paper there. I think we didn't really know that when we were shooting it, but so what I did is I masked around there. It's pretty easy. All this stuff is pretty easy. But one thing people always if they want to get into After Effects, they're always concerned about how hard and intimidating it looks. And I do agree. When I started doing After Effects about 4 or 5 years ago. And it looked really intimidating. I just hadn't really done much in Adobe Premiere or anything like that. So it is intimidating, but once you get going with it, you'll be up and running in a pretty reasonable amount of time. It may take a few months before you feel comfortable with it, but yeah, just best thing you can do in filmmaking, visual effects, or anything in film really, or just in life, is if you want to get good at something, you just do it. So basically all I did there was just I just masked off that area and sort of dragged the background over it. So, and make sure you get the shadows too, because those can be tricky as well. That's my Skype. So, and this is a bit of a more complicated shot. So let me turn off all these other layers. Alright, now that I've got all the layers turned off, this is the original footage of it, or the original shot we were working with. As you can see, there is, so it's kind of cut off by my screen, but as you can see, there's a little, you can see there's my truck. We actually didn't realize that it was there because, you know, it was a bright sunny day, and it's kind of hard to see even with an external field monitor. It's just, you know, hard to see, so, but still, nevertheless, we saw the truck was there, and Dylan's car is just right behind my truck, so, and you always see outside the school, got the stop sign and everything, so let's go through and we'll talk about what I did. So first thing he did is the sky. We removed that light post and the stop sign. So I'm not quite sure. I can't quite remember. It's been a little bit. I've been doing tons of these effects. So basically what I did here is I made a little extension of the building here. So one case that makes it a little bit thicker, and then here it's an actual extension, and also I had to make a little extension of the roof. I'll zoom in here. So that's actually a little bit complicated, just, you know, the curved edges and everything. So, but then I extended it here. As you can see, it doesn't look too great. You can kind of tell it's fake, but once we put the foreground on it, it works. That's another important thing, to just have a foreground layer in front of something, just to hide the edges, okay? Because, you know, if you don't, it could just not work. So. And also, for this shot, I believe I copied an earlier shot here. I believe I moved this layer and put it over here. So yeah, it's a bit interesting. So when you learn this kind of stuff. So now finally, this last one that I want to talk about. It's not fully done yet, but the background change actually. Now let me go back and show you the original shot. So this is the original shot, and as you can see, it's actually mirrored and everything. Now, the thing was, in the original footage, here, let me pull up the actual episode 3 video. So this shot right here, it'll be modified, but it's going to remain in the film. But after, as you can see, after the swing in the original unmirrored footage, the lightsaber's in a different hand. So actually, so it's in my left hand. Here in the original one, it ends up in my So anyway, what I did is I flipped the trees, and initially it worked, but there's the problem. It just went over that. So I had to cut myself out. And again, this stuff can be time consuming, but the results are pretty much worth it all the time. So now with this kind of shot, you typically want to feather with a lot of rotoscoping, you need to feather them. But with this kind of stuff, you really don't want to feather them too much, because right here the feather is at about a 5, but you can't really go much further than that, because then it'll just start to look really fake and everything. So yeah, then it just won't work. So we'll just put it back to 5. So in there you can't really tell that the image has been doctored. So at least I can't. So yeah, that was an interesting shot, and I'm really liking how this turned out. So I think the hairline might need a little tweaking, but other than that, I'm really happy with how this turned out. So oh, actually, there's a little thing right there. So let's fix that. And yep. There we go. That looks good. I like that.
So yeah, guys, hope you found that slightly interesting. So once again, this is a great way to exercise your effects work and everything, and hopefully you got a little bit inspired to do this kind of stuff, because I find it strangely fun to do this kind of stuff, even though it can be time consuming and sometimes painful, but satisfying nonetheless. So thanks guys for watching this episode of Bolt's Tutorials. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, ThomasBolt1, like the Facebook page, Thunderbolt Films, follow me on Instagram, TheTomBolt, subscribe to the Thunderbolt blog/extras channel, and make sure to head on over to ThunderBoltFilms.club for more website exclusive content. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.